Hello and welcome to another episode of The Soul of Business with Blaine Bartlett. I am your host, Blaine Bartlett. Folks, those of you that are constant listeners have heard me talk about compassionate capitalism. It was actually the title of a book I wrote, became an international bestseller. My purpose in putting this podcast on air was to, in part, find examples of where compassionate capitalism, conscious capitalism, but my take on it, compassionate capitalism, is actually being delivered by entrepreneurs, by solopreneurs, by business people, by business leaders around the planet. And I've been pretty good at finding some of these folks. We've had a pretty interesting collection of people, including a major general on the show, and talked about compassionate capitalism from a military perspective, which was really interesting. The guest I've got today, I've had the great pleasure of getting to know at a personal level, and I'll just kind of riff a little bit here. We were standing in the water in the Bahamas, and he started talking about his company and what he was doing with it, and I was absolutely blown away about what was going on there. And I said, Robert, I've got to have you on the show. I want you to talk about what you're doing, how you've done it, and why you've done it, because this story needs to be heard. So my guest today is Robert Saad. The company is Hillsdale DR. This version of the company was founded in 2008. Robert's the president and co-founder of the company. The parent company was founded back in the 1980s, I believe, and he'll tell me about that in just a minute here. But the journey, the migration, the process is fascinating, and to me, it's evidence that compassionate capitalism is probably the most significant and impactful commercial model that we could work with if what we want is long-term sustainable success. It's not an easy journey. You've really got to start thinking out of the box in order to put this together. So I want to welcome my friend Robert Saad to the show. It is a distinct pleasure to have you here, buddy.
Thank you, Blaine. No, thank you very much. Yes, it's an honor to be on your podcast. Definitely. Well, thank you.
You bet. And let's just kind of get a little bit of the basics in here. History of the company up to 2008 when you moved out of Montreal and into the DR. So what is the company, first of all? What kind of an organization is it? Because it's in an incredibly competitive space. So
definitely, yes. So we specialize. The business was started in Montreal, specializing in manufacturing women's swimwear. Again, very technical product, difficult to manufacture. Small tolerances, very small pieces to work with. So it's a product that needs quality, measurements. So not the easiest of products to make. In 2007, we moved the business from from Montreal to the Dominican Republic. China was becoming a fierce competitor. We needed a more competitive labor force. And we found a home in the Dominican Republic and been there ever since.
Yeah.
Today, we're the largest swimwear producer in the Caribbean. We've got a very stable workforce that the majority have been with us since the beginning.
That's significant. And there's a reason that that's the case, because there was some question about that early on, I think.
Yes, absolutely. It's, again, the most important part of our business is quality. Yeah. And how do you get quality? The only way to get that is having an engaged workforce. And there are many challenges, especially in the garment industry. How do you engage the sewing operator, how do you get them engaged and involved in the manufacturing of the product
Hmm.
to, to get quality? And that's been, a very big challenge. When we first brought the business into the Dominican Republic, big trust issue. They saw us as foreigners. They thought we were just coming in there to exploit cheap labor and not care about them.
Take the money and run.
And you take the money and run. And, they, again, many examples of that. So, I understand where they were coming from.
Hmm.
And at the beginning, when we first started the operation, we were kind to everyone. And we quickly learned that they saw that as, a form of weakness. Well, great. We've got an opportunity to take advantage of someone where we could, figure out how to make a little bit of money. So, we took a step back and, you know, we knew how comfortable we were to operate and how we wanted to operate our business. So we never wanted, there wasn't an option of changing our ways of ruling with an iron fist. That's the easy road. We took the road of, we got to build trust. We got to engage with them. We got to get them to understand who we are and, work, together and, become a great company that can help, supply everyone the needs that they need for them and their families. So, that was the first challenge when we brought our facility there. It's how do we build this trust?
Uh-huh.
And, and it's continuous work. It's continuous showing them. And you're challenged constantly where, you know, you, you're constantly challenged and you've just got to keep focused and continue on your path and showing them that, the company really does care for you.
Yeah.
The company really is looking for helping you improve your life.
So,
And
you put in place some education programs, if I remember correctly, because I mean, you and Dan, you're not resident in the DR, and Dan is your partner, um,
yes,
and co-founder with you, and so not being present physically, I mean, you'd go in and out, a couple times a month. So you needed to rely on local leadership to a significant degree,
yes,
and
yes,
can you talk a little bit about that power transfer, if you will?
yes,
And I think that's important to understand for people that are listening here that, yeah, this is a different kind of leadership that you and Dan exhibited that enabled a different style of leader to emerge, in your facilities.
yes. So we had hired a young gentleman about 5, 6 years ago. And again, for data entry. And he came up to Dan and I and said, I really like computers. I, love programming. I'd love to take some courses. And Dan and I looked at him and said, great, that's awesome. Tell us what courses you want. We'd be more than happy to pay for them and help you advance. So, he came back, gave us a whole schedule, started taking his courses. While he was doing his courses, he approached us saying, the company's working on, with a third party on developing its processes. Can I get involved with that? And we said, sure, Jack, we'll integrate you. And, few months, a year into it, he started to take more and more responsibility, continued studying to the point that he, was in charge of all of our, operation of all of our software for our business operations. And so, he continued to excel. So 2 years ago, we pulled him aside and we said, Jack, you're doing really well in this area. We're developing all sorts of software for our production. You're really doing well. We want to definitely develop this more. We'd like to make a deal with you. We'd like you to hire 3 other programmers, but these are the conditions. They've got to be, more experienced than you. And
Uh-huh.
at first he was taken back by, well, you're going to manage them. We're going to finish our company's projects. And then in 2, 3 years, you can break off and with your team and we'll help you find customers and you'll do, software development for other companies. You'll still continue to do projects for us. That was the game plan.
Yeah.
And, the first Christmas, I remember him, he's emailing me and I'm there, Jack, it's Christmas. Take some time off. And he's, oh, I can't. I'm so excited. I love the opportunity. Thank you. So grateful and thank you. And, so, about 4 or 5 months ago, he approached us and he's there, I want to make recommendations to the company. And he came up with a really good plan saying, this is not, we can do this better. And we knew that we were at this point looking for new leadership in the factory. And, we took a step back. So they're okay. We've got to find a general manager. Where are we going to find this person? And then Dan and I looked at each other and said, what about Jack? He's a great communicator. He's proven himself over the past years of how hardworking, how, meticulous his work is. Let's give that a thought. And we both came to the conclusion and we offered him that opportunity. And today he's our general manager and a real leader, showing leadership in our facility. And we need that because we need someone who is going to definitely engage with everyone in our facility. And this is where we are today. So today we're now looking at, our ask for our employees is quality and on-time delivery.
Uh-huh.
That's what the company needs. How, what can the company do for our employees? So we're looking at a bonus program based on quality and productivity where we're profit sharing. So they all have an interest in production, in making sure the product is well made, that they're hitting their daily goals, and that they clearly have their goals of what they're, what additional bonuses they could make based on efficiency, quality, and productivity.
Yeah.
To
So
do this,
yeah,
yes.
go ahead. To do this, you had to
To
have a
do this,
culture in place. Yeah.
yes, yes, and you need someone of trust in that position.
Yeah.
And how do we bring that company so the company also has to position itself with a trust factor between its employees? So
Yeah.
again, as a company, we're looking, it's easy for us as ownership to not really look at, our employees, lives, how, what do they need? How do they, it's easy to turn your head and not look at their problems, but they have real problems of inflation, real, real life problems. And, they're stuck in this, in this wage bracket that, is very difficult for them. So as a
Yeah.
company, what can we do for them to
Outside
help
of
them?
raising their wages, because raising the wages puts you in a non-competitive position. And so this is
As
where the idea of compassionate capitalism comes into play here, because there are business constraints. There are real constraints on how businesses operate. One of the key ones being salaries. I mean, that becomes a fixed cost. and you can't just keep escalating your salary base. But if you're willing to pay attention in the way that you and Dan did, and Jack actually, yeah, you start noticing that there are other ways that you can increase the compensatory experience, yeah, that people
Yes.
have, so that I mean, we talk about value add from on a B2B side, but how do you value
Hmm.
add with your employees? And that's, I think, the code that you guys have actually cracked to a significant degree. You've been able to value
Yes.
add in a very unique fashion that I want to explore when we come back from a break, because you've done some things that are really innovative. And I know that you wouldn't have been able to get there unless you had the employee engagement levels that you have today, because creativity comes with engagement and ownership. When I'm feeling,
Hmm.
like I own something, I'm a part of it. It's important to me. I start getting creative about how I can improve it. I start noticing. Yeah,
Hmm.
the metaphor I use is renting a car. I don't know anybody that's ever changed the oil in a rental car. I don't know anybody that's ever changed the wiper blades in a
Yes.
rental car. Very seldom is the rental car ever
Yeah.
washed because nobody owns it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if people
Yeah.
start to feel like
Exactly.
it's theirs, they start taking care of it. And that's what your employees are doing right now. And you've done it in a very, I think, interesting way. So, folks, stay tuned. Robert's got a couple of stories here that I wanted to illustrate this concept with. We're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be back in just a minute. The nature of life is evidenced in nature. Nature grows, and all of nature honors the desire to be more, to have more, and to do more. Life thrives when it's allowed to grow. And ideally, thriving is what we also, all of us, want to be able to do. Unfortunately, at some stage in life, most people find themselves settling into what I can only call a rut. And a rut is nothing more than a coffin with the ends kicked out. You want to quickly get out of any rut that you find yourself in. When you stop growing, that's when the coffin starts to appear. The simple truth is this, and this is true for everything in nature. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Every one of us dies. So the question we need to come to grips with is not, are we going to die? The question nature asks us to answer is, are we truly living? That's what motivation is about. It's the desire to move. It's the desire to grow and to excel. Have I lived? How have I lived? I'd love for you to take advantage of my Leadership Mindset Masterclass. It's all about providing you with the tools to ensure thriving for yourself and for those around you. Register today to receive the free introduction video and find out more about this acclaimed program. You'll also receive a copy of my international #1 bestseller, Compassionate Capitalism, A Journey to the Soul of Business. I'm Blaine Bartlett, and I look forward to helping you thrive. Welcome back, folks. Talking to Robert Saad, the president and co-founder of Hillsdale DR, based out of the Dominican Republic. And this idea of compassionate capitalism. Compassion, you don't get compassion until you feel connected to something. And when you start getting connected to something, you start feeling compassionate towards it. And I don't mean squishy, soft, that kind of compassion. Yeah, you're concerned about health and well-being. You're concerned about how things are actually functioning. Are we set up to thrive? And just before we took the break, you were talking about, you and Dan and Jack, your general manager now, noticing that we're concerned about our employees' well-being. We know that we can't necessarily address that by just simply raising wages. That puts us in a non-competitive place. And in order to continue to have employees and in order to continue to pay them, we have to be competitive. But there's other ways that we can go about compensating that doesn't add to fixed costs, but allows us to continue to engage our people in very interesting ways, because Hillsdale DR right now is actually rapidly, if it hasn't already, become an employer of choice in the Dominican Republic. I mean, you guys are doing some
Yes.
things that are very interesting and have gotten a lot of attention down there. So, I'll get off
Yes.
my soapbox and just have you, you've got a couple of stories here about some very innovative ways that you've actually engaged the
Yes.
employee base, but also compensated them in a very, I'm going to say altruistic way that is pretty unique from my experience. It's all yours.
So at the yes, perfect. So, again, the engagement part was something that we, as a company, we were trying to figure out how to do this. And so at the beginning, we're there, the company needs to stand for something. And we're there, okay, great swimwear, oceans. We started to look into the problems of oceans and understanding, again, spending time in the Bahamas, walk the beaches, and the amount of plastic debris that would wash up ashore is sickening. So, with there, this would be a noble cause to start looking, again, swimwear oceans, a perfect fit. So we started to work on an environmental program for helping protect seagrass, mangroves, and salt marshes, which was great. The company, we showed the company that we're going to be good environmental stewards, but which was a great direction. But we also needed to do more than just have that type of cause. It was, yes, it helped us build a structure towards our employees, but they needed something more. We needed to address what was, going on, in their lives. Inflation, a huge problem. How can we increase their wages? Like we mentioned before, just raising their wages. China's very competitive. A lot of countries out there are very competitive, so that's not an option. So we started to try to figure out, different ways of what can we do for our employees, and so we started to develop these, different types of programs. My wife had bought this yoga necklace for to carry your phone case, and every time she would wear it, she'd get compliments. So I told my wife Chantal, I said, can I borrow this? Took pictures of it. I sent it to my to the head of product development at the factory. I'm there, Clarette, is this something we can make? Right away she responded, oh yes, this is something we can easily make here at the factory. I'm there, okay, great. This would be a great little project to source the different components, make the necklace, have different people in the factory make this. They'll get paid for making it, and then we'll have a product that we can market and sell, and those proceeds from whatever we sell will go back directly to all the employees. Definitely, structure it with a sovereign fund so that there's total transparency and clarity for everyone. And we're there. Let's definitely look at other projects out there. Let's look at another project that can also have a solution for the environment. So we started to look around our facilities. What are we doing? Is there anything that we're throwing out that we can recycle or use? And a big part of our facility is we manufacture a lot of swimwear. There's a lot of fabric waste. All this goes into a landfill. Is there something that we can do with this? And we challenged them. And it was great to engage them because you saw how they're all trying to figure out what can we do with this, and they know that the outcome is going to benefit them. So they were very challenged in finding a solution. So we ended up, the solution they came up was we would take the waste fabric, shred it, make a fiber fill, and use that fiber fill for fill for cat and dog beds. So now we would have a product that we can sell, and the product, again, all that money goes back to our employees, and we're solving a solution for the environment, and we're making a product, and that product is now helping our hardworking employees get a better living wage.
Now, folks, I
So
want you to be
all
real
these
clear here.
programs,
Yeah, these programs, but I really want to. This is, so unique in my experience with the way the companies typically are run. This is a compassionate approach. Yeah, you've got your main core product, your swimwear product, and you're making a profit off it and all that kind of stuff. But in
yes,
challenging your employees to come up with ideas that are innovative and whatnot, that are intended to improve their experience of being able to live a thriving life. Now, and here's the guys, as you're listening to this, I want you to hear this. The profits that came out of these projects went into a sovereign escrow type fund solely to be directed to the employees. The company didn't take its cut, so to speak. This is so unique. The company funded the process, funded the project, but the employees gained the benefit out of it. Now, you talk
yes,
about finding ways to create engagement, loyalty, those sorts of things. And the way you set it up was complete transparency. So again, trust, you paid attention to that side of it. And I get chills when I hear you talk about this, Robert. I really do. It's just, it's
yes,
brilliant and altruistic,
yes, yes,
but not in a
yes.
not in a naive way.
No, and just to Blake, just to clear, these are programs that we're currently in the development of
Hmm.
challenging our staff. So this is, you know, they now look at the company in a different way. They see the value. They want the company to do well. So now our ask as a company of quality and on time delivery, we now have something that we can all work towards
Yeah,
and have goals. And, you know, if we all go in this direction, we're all going to benefit from it. And again, we're on a small little island. You know, everybody, everybody hears what we're doing. So now we're attracting, you know, the best of the best that want to come work for us
yeah,
because we're positioning our company this way. So the benefits are just incredible. They're, you know, would not change the direction one bit. We were having such success in our engagement, in our profit sharing with our employees, again,
hmm,
based on quality, based on productivity. They see that we're caring for them. So now, you know, getting them to do the extra effort, they don't feel cheated out of it. They feel, they want to do it. And
yeah.
that's key. If
That's
you
yeah,
can, if they want to do it, they're going to do it.
yeah,
Forcing them's not you know, that doesn't work.
yeah. Have to is different than want to. Very
Yes,
different. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. In the time
yes,
that we've got left here, I want to just touch on something that I think is important because when the pandemic came in, you did something that was
yes,
also, I think, very special. And the contrast I want to draw here has to do, in my mind at least, with what what was in big news here early on in the pandemic, and it was these meat packing houses where people,
yes.
were working without protective gear. I mean, it was, you don't show up for work, you're fired. I mean, all of, horror stories around this, and people got sick, people died because they didn't have
Hmm.
protective gear and all kinds of stuff. And the sole motive, as far as I could tell, was let's just keep our slaughterhouses running because there's money to be made here and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And the workers, don't worry about that. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, we took a different approach. It was when COVID hit, a lot of uncertainty. Supply chains were being disrupted. Retailers were pulling back. Sales were drying up. Very difficult period. Our concern was our workforce.
Yeah.
Again, making sure that, again, knowing how much they make, you know, we wanted to be sure that they did not miss a pay, which they didn't. Everybody got completely paid throughout the full process. But we used COVID as in this situation to help build trust. So we knew we had to find a solution. We needed to get some work. There was also a need for production of protective gear. So we started to look into that, and part of it again, you know, what the world was going through and the shortages of everything, we knew we needed to do something. And we had an opportunity, which we took a program for FEMA to do isolation gowns. And it was a great program. We knew that this would be perfect. We'd be able to bring work onto the island. It was a very big program, so we knew that it was not just our facility. We needed other factories, so we regrouped a total of 8 other factories to be able to take this program. But before we took this program, we wanted to make sure that our employees were safe.
Yeah.
And, that was our biggest concern. So the first thing we said is, we can do this contract, but we need protective gear. Every one of our employees needs to be protected. And, nobody was forced to come back to work, but everybody did come back to work because they knew we had all these precautions in place, and they knew that we were looking after them as a company, and that they knew they were coming into a place where they were probably safer in their workplace than they were out in population. And so, the other part was, again, there was a lot of misinformation from social media, different news organizations, a lot of confusion, same thing in the Dominican Republic, a lot of confusion. So so we took that opportunity to message everyone. We said, we're going to use one reliable source. So we used the Canadian government, Health Canada, and we used, their advice, whatever they would advise, we would message back to the factory saying, okay, well, Health Canada today is saying this is what we should be doing. And that's what we would implement. And, how many people would, reach out saying, oh, thank you for doing this. We feel relieved that, we're getting clear information. And for us, that was part of, again, building trust. They trusted the information the company was giving them. The company was also showing them that, our number one priority is you.
Yeah.
If we can take care of you, we can bring in that program and you will benefit from that. And, again, it's they showed us, usually Dan and myself, my business partner and I are down there every 2 weeks. We weren't there, we weren't there during this process. And this was the biggest program we ever ran. And, they were our frontline workers where, they showed up to work every day. They did they did their job. It was nice that they found the courage as, we were all hiding out in our homes or isolated, and they were in these environments that, they were also very scared.
Yeah.
So, that was a big turning point in our operation, where our employees really, I believe they looked at the company with a different vision, a company that really cares about them. And so we continue to build on that with with these programs. Another problem that that is coming to surface is clean drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
Again, understanding the problems of our oceans, how many plastic bottles are used on a daily basis. We did a little survey, in our facility, asking everyone, where do you get your water? 100% of the response was bottled, plastic bottles. We're working with a great Canadian company called Purify. They sent technicians down to the Dominican Republic. They visited some of our employees' homes to understand the infrastructure. So we're also working on those solutions of bringing them the basics of,
Clean water.
clean drinking water into homes.
Uh,
So there's a lot of work as a company that we can do
yeah,
to continue to help improve the lives of our employees, to better society, to be a great example of a business, and to bring, I definitely believe that we're bringing value to our customer and brands. Um,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
hope that everybody copies our ideas and treats everyone this way. It'd be a better world.
The experience that you're describing, Rob, I mean, again, I got chills. I had chills when I was standing in 90-degree water with you in the Bahamas
Yes,
as you were talking
yes,
about this. Uh, it is such a great example of compassionate capitalism. And compassionate capitalism does not mean that's, again, soft and squishy. There's hard choices
yes,
that you make. There are really some very hard choices that need to be made. I can't raise wages. What do I do? Well, let's get
yes,
creative. Let's find out what that is. We got to take care of our people. Drinking water. Damn, I hadn't even thought about that. How do we
yeah,
ensure that they are healthy? Yeah. And that I mean, and you've got some pretty big buyers of your product that are paying
yes,
attention to this. And we're not going
yes,
to name names here, but you guys are doing some really interesting stuff. Where can people find
yes.
out more about Hillsdale DR? I mean, I know the website is hillsdaledr.com,
Yes, yes.
but if
That's
they
the
wanted
best way to
to,
reach,
yeah,
to
if they
get a
wanted
hold
to,
of us. Yes.
yep,
Again, our strategy of how we're running our business has, we've had every big box retailer reach out to us. Um, we're really in a very good position. Um, I don't want to say we're picking and choosing, but we are picking and choosing, customers who will understand what we're doing,
yep,
and will have an interest in that, and help us promote and you know improve ourselves and raise the bar as a manufacturing operation. Um, so that's again this a strategic partnership where everybody understands the value in this,
yeah.
and there's tremendous value.
There is tremendous value. There really is, and that value has to be genuinely, yeah, authentic. It's the
Yes,
people. The value is the people.
absolutely.
So, folks, we've been listening to
Yes,
Robert Saad,
yes,
president, co-founder of Hillsdale DR. Check them out. It's a fascinating story. They are an amazing group of people, um, and yeah, they are. When you think about compassionate capitalist, Robert and Dan, both of you, but I know you, so my
yes,
hat's off
yes.
to you, my heart's open to you here. Thank you for being who you are and doing what you do, buddy.
Thank you, Blaine, for the platform. Really appreciate that.
You bet.
Yes.
Folks, you've been listening to The Soul of Business, and this is the soul of business. That's what we've been talking about today. You've been listening to Robert Saad, and find out more about what I'm up to at blainebartlett.com. And we will see you on the next episode. And in the meantime, find yourself a way over the course of this next week or so, between this episode and next, to experience being a center of distribution, not a center of accumulation. You'll find your life works a whole lot better when you're looking for ways to distribute who you are and what you have. Take care. This is Blaine Bartlett. I'll see you on the next show. Bye.